Hi Leo. Here is a reading for you. This is for you and your ex-partner. Now, I had previously done this particular spread, and then I did decide to stop. But due to somebody asking me to continue to do this, and due to the response that I've had from doing some of the other signs for this month, I have decided to continue to do this on a monthly basis. I was just going to do it twice a year, but I have decided to do it, and obviously it is going to be purely a reading for people who are still interested in their ex-partner, and for people who may be hoping for a reconciliation, okay, with their ex-partner. Obviously there's going to be a lot of you that have ended relationships, okay, and have no interest in your ex-partner or indeed in reconciling, and in which case this reading is not for you, okay? Now, I have done it as I have previously. This is the row for you, the Leo. This is the row for your ex-partner. Now, please just bear in mind that sometimes the energies can cross. So where I may be talking about you, it may be in your situation that it fits more for your ex-partner, okay? So just apply the messages to your own particular situation. Now, up here on your side, we have Temperance, which is a major arcana, and it is reversed. And this is in the position of why the relationship may have ended, okay? And it can talk about things being out of balance, okay? Now, there may have been an imbalance on an emotional level between you both. It may have been an imbalance to do with finances and emotions. It can be any number of things, okay? But it shows that something was out of kilter, that things were not flowing as they should within this relationship. It can sometimes talk about a lack of long-term vision. So maybe you or your ex-partner were struggling to see the long-term goals in regards to this relationship. But either way, it can talk about arguments, it can talk about worry, but overall, as I said, it talks about a lack of balance. Things were not flowing as they should or as they once did. On your partner's side, we have another major arcana. We have the Moon card, which is reversed. When the Moon card is reversed, it can sometimes talk about opting for comfort. So it could be for some of you that your ex-partner stayed within the relationship as long as they did because the relationship felt comfortable, or maybe gave them financial comfort, okay, but maybe didn't give them the comfort on an emotional level. Because it can talk about opting for comfort, it can lead them to deceiving themselves about someone or about the relationship. So they may have been in the relationship, as an example, it won't be for all of you, because of financial comfort, okay? And they may very well have been deceiving themselves into believing that you know, that there was love there, that there was feelings there, and there was strong emotions there. But like I said, with the moon, things look very different by the light of the moon, okay? So in some respect, your ex-partner was deceiving themselves in regards to either you or the relationship, or deceiving themselves within their own needs and wants within this relationship, which in itself is going to create a lack of balance, okay? In the position for you, in whether there's still love there, we have your own energy here, being a Leo. You are a fire energy, and this is the King of Wands, and it's also for Aries and Sagittarius. The King of Wands is somebody that, you know, it is very action driven, okay? And to be honest with you, as a Leo, you are very, very giving, okay? And very loving. But overall, you give a lot of yourself, okay, to your partner. And you see here, this king is holding the wand. So I do think that you think very much about your ex-partner. You know, they're on your mind, okay? But I'm not so sure now whether there's actual love there from your side towards your ex-partner. You may very well have got to the stage where you think of them as a friend, as you would any friend. You may even still check them out on social media in terms of making sure they're okay and just checking what's going on in their lives, okay? But I do think very much that you do still think of your ex-partner and they are on your mind. But I'm not so sure as to whether you think of them from a place of love now. I think it comes more from a friendship basis. Now, I'm not implying that you are friends with your ex-partner, but from the emotional aspects, I think you're more in a place where you tend to think of them more as a friend, okay? And the thing with Leos as well is that you try, and the fire signs overall, is that they do tend to give 110% to their relationships. They give so much of themselves. And quite often they don't get the same back. But also, the King of Wands as an energy is somebody who, you know, is strong in his character or her character. It's not gender specific. And you may very well now have a direct course of action in terms of, you know, you need to keep moving forward now. And maybe, you know, forward in terms of being on your own, okay? But that's not to say that you don't still think of your ex-partner. That's not to say that you don't still think about them in terms of, are they okay? Are they happy? Or what is going on in their lives, okay? Sometimes as well, see, the thing is, you may very well have reached a point when you two were together where the relationship became very much more of a friendship or a brother-sister type relationship. In terms of maybe there was a lack of sex and a lack of passion between you both, and you had both started to drift in different directions, although you were still living under the same roof together for some of you, okay? But overall, in terms of feelings, I think you do still think of your ex-partner, but I don't think it comes from a place of love. I think it comes more from a place of friendship or concern. The same question for your ex-partner. We have here the 9 of Pentacles. Now, the Pentacles is Earth energy, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. And the 9 of Pentacles, in terms of feelings, it could very much talk about your partner may have felt within this relationship that they had, like we spoke about with the moon card and that, about the comfort, okay? They may have had food, a nice home, clothes, some luxuries. They may have had all the financial aspects that a relationship can bring. But I feel there was this lack of love there. Now, it was either a lack of love from them towards you, or they felt this lack of love from you towards them. It'll be either way for different groups of you. But like I said, it talks about feeling comfortable and secure, but more on the financial and material aspects of this relationship. It can talk about a lack of commitment, but a lack of commitment on an emotional level. Now, that's either how they felt when they was in this relationship, or that's how they are now thinking about this relationship. That this relationship can offer them the comforts of life, but it cannot offer them the love and the commitment that they want from a relationship. Now, on your side, down here, we have the Judgment card, okay? Now, this is a major arcana. And it's fallen within the position of, in terms of whether you could reconcile. When the Judgment card's reversed, it can talk about the need for you to think about your life so far, where you've come and what you've achieved so far, and about looking at the lessons that you've learnt so far on the journey you've been on within your life. It can talk about the need for you to start to move forward and onward with confidence. The need may be to not be too cautious now, okay? And to move forward. And interestingly, the Judgment card is the last but one card in the major arcana. The card after the Judgment card is the World card. And although you don't have the World card on the table, the fact of it is the World card is about completions. It's about one chapter of your life ending and a new one beginning. And this card falls directly before the World card. That kind of sorry, I needed to pause for a moment. The stage before, okay? So, I think it's purely shown up for you to look at the lessons that you've learnt from this relationship that you've had. And to think about all the lessons that you have learnt and where you are now within your life in general. It can talk about conclusions, okay? And not being so hard on yourself. In terms of a reconciliation, with this card here, look, for some of you, maybe it could be moving forwards in regards to reconciling and not being so cautious and overthinking and just going for it. But I do feel that for the majority of you, this is talking about you learning the lessons from this relationship and moving forwards now with your life separate from this relationship. And maybe not being so cautious and guarded in terms of entering a new relationship, but just being cautious enough to remember, as I said, the lessons that you've learned so far. On your partner's side, for the same question, we have here the Page of Swords. Now, the Swords is air energy, okay? It's all to do with our thoughts and our thinking. And it is for Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. The Page of Swords is often referred to as the Truth card. You see he's holding this sword and it looks like he's literally going to use this sword, okay, to cut away at something. And that's exactly what this is. It's the Truth card. I feel it's more a case of your ex-partner, finally speaking their truth maybe at some point. Finally speaking up and saying how they have really felt. How they have maybe opted more for the comfort within this relationship. How they did maybe feel there was a lack of love and commitment. How they had everything they wanted in the material aspect of things, but on the emotion, feelings and love side, there was a lack. Which, as I said at the beginning with that Temperance card, it created this imbalance between you both. And it could very well be that your ex-partner may very well, if they haven't already, may very well, speak their truth. Cut away with all of, I don't want to say lies, but because the Page of Swords as well can be a card about constantly questioning something. So it may be that your ex-partner is constantly questioning within their own thoughts about what went wrong, what went right, why this didn't work, why that didn't work. And they're constantly questioning within their own mind, which then brings them to the truth of the situation. Okay? Now, the outcome card we have here, we have the King of Cups, which is water energy, Scorpio, Cancer and Pisces, okay? It can show that maybe you are allowing your emotions to control. It can talk about codependency within a relationship. It can talk about feeling insecure. It can talk about the need to try to control, and maybe trying to control by being manipulative in some ways, or being moody and sulky. It can talk about an element of feeling vengeful or vindictive. Now, the lack of balance within the relationship we spoke about. But maybe for some of you, there were some other elements as well, okay? Maybe, I haven't got the Three of Swords on the table, but maybe for some of you, there may have been a third-party situation here. And maybe that's some of the lessons that you need to learn. You know, that this type of thing can happen within relationships. It may be that it's your ex-partner that ended this relationship and it's left you feeling emotional. Maybe in some ways vengeful towards them for ending the relationship. It can talk as well that you may be exhibiting some addictive behaviour in order to escape the way you are feeling on an emotional level. So, you know, some of you may be drinking too much in order to try to block out this breakup, and in order to try to deal with it in some way, okay? Because I feel for the majority of you, you've taken the breakup hard, okay? It's hit you hard. And it's left you with these negative emotions, okay? But the thing is, and I come back to the lessons to be learnt with the Judgment card, that you need to look at this relationship, you know, as a bigger picture, and look at what you had with each other, but also look at what you were lacking with each other. There's definitely lessons for you to learn from being within this relationship, okay? And by learning those lessons, you will then be able to move forward. On your partner's side, we have another major arcana. We have the Justice card here, okay? And, you know, it's interesting that you've had the Judgment card and the Justice card within this reading. The Justice card, it talks about a settlement, okay? It talks about something finally being negotiated and settled. It's like the summing up, okay? A long-standing decision or a long-standing situation finally being settled and coming to an end, okay? We see here the scales of justice, and they're even, okay? And providing your ex-partner has acted in a fair and just way, then the settlement can be in their favour. But if they haven't acted in that way, then the settlement could be more in your favour. But we do see the card upright here, okay? But it talks about resolution. It talks about acting in a fair and just way. But overall, it talks about coming to a verdict, something being settled finally. I personally don't see a reconciliation on the cards here. I feel that there was some definitely some imbalances within this relationship. I just feel that your ex-partner may very well have been in this relationship for the wrong reasons. It may have made them feel comfortable on a financial and material way, but I don't think they felt entirely secure when it came to the love side. And I think that they finally realized that they were in this relationship for the wrong reasons. And maybe that's why the Page of Swords has shown up, that they finally admitted the truth to themselves. That they was in this relationship for the wrong reasons. And that the settlement was the ending of this relationship. And they maybe felt that this was the only fair and just way, was for this relationship to end, because they had finally realized themselves that they were in it for the wrong reasons. And it sees you may not be handling this breakup in the most positive way, okay? But you need to focus on the message here with the Judgment card. You need to think about where your life is at now and the lessons that you have learned overall and the lessons you've learned from being within this relationship. And you need now to start to move forwards with your life. As I said, the Judgment card is before the World card. The World card is one chapter of your life ending, one door of your life closing in order for a new chapter and a new door to open. And I think this has shown up to remind you of that. That yes, the door to this relationship may very well be closed, but it's leading you to another chapter and another door to be opened for you to start something new. And to start that whole second chapter of your life, taking with you the lessons that you have already learned. So, Leo, that does conclude your reading. I do hope it resonates with somebody, and I do hope that you found it beneficial, okay, in being able to move forwards in terms of the breakup of this relationship. I'll be back again in February to do further readings for you. So until then, thank you so much for watching. Bye.